Hey, good evening. Mark Gassert, Elevate Your Profits. And this truly is going to be a knockout show. No pun on words intended. We have a very honored guest here this evening. But before I do all that, I've got to bring in my co host in crime, Tom Ginn. I'm going to bring him in because he's interviewed this gentleman, and we're really excited to have him. Tom, can you tell me what's going on this evening and who's with us?
Well, the guest we have tonight is Hector Colon. I had the honor and privilege to meet him at a book signing for his book. We'll be talking about this from the boxing ring to the boardroom, the principles, his story. And after I met him, I recognized he needs to be on our program, Elevate Your Profits. The amount of leadership and the things he's done to succeed at this level is a message that everybody needs to hear. And so tonight, I'm honored again and grateful to have Hector Colon from the boxing ring to the boardroom. Welcome in, Hector.
Oh, hello.
Hector, what's up, man? I'm a pro. Oh, there it is. He's showing the combination. Hector, thank you so much for joining us. Before we get started here, could you say hello to everybody?
Yes, thank you. Hello, everyone. So happy to be with you here today. Thank you for joining in on the conversation. Los quiero mucho de Puerto Rico. Mucho gusto y los quiero mucho.
Thank you, Hector. That was great.
Gracias.
Thank you so much. Hey, Hector, I got to ask you this. I looked at, what you have, your content online. I told you backstage we were kidding around talking about boxers and boxing and such a dangerous sport. I just got to ask this question. When you got involved with boxing, did that even cross your mind about how dangerous it really is?
Yeah, it's a very dangerous sport, like you said. When I first got into boxing, no, I really didn't think about the ramifications that boxing could have on your brain and just your body in general. But later on, I became aware of how dangerous the sport is. And clearly, it's very sad. The sport of boxing has really had a negative impact on so many boxers, Muhammad Ali and many others. So it's a very dangerous sport.
Yes. And how old were you when you got involved with boxing, Hector?
So I was 9 years old, and the reason why I got involved was because I was being bullied in their neighborhood by someone that didn't want people with the color of my skin in their neighborhood. And one day I went out to play baseball with some of the kids, and one of the kids called me a spick, the N-word, and told me to get out of the neighborhood. And he hit me in the face. I came home with a bloody nose. And as I was coming into the house, I saw my father. Immediately, I saw kind of tears in his eyes. And he said, "What happened? ¿Qué te pasó?" And I told him what happened. And then he said, "I'm going to take you to the gym so you can learn how to defend yourself." And that's how I started boxing.
That is interesting. I think back in the day, I'm a little older than you, but that's what my dad did with my brother and I. Taught us the art of self-defense, so to speak. My mom didn't like it, but his comment to that was, hey, these guys need to know how to defend themselves in case something ever happens. So
That's right.
it's kind of crazy, you go through that, but your father would tell you that. But I think that's cool.
Yes. And when he took me to the gym, I recall, my coach, Israel Acosta, who everybody calls Shorty, who is really a giant in my life and a giant in the community. And he put me in front of the mirror and started showing me some combinations. And right away, he told my father, "Your son is a natural. He's going to become a champion."
Wow.
That boosted my self-esteem, and he was right.
And there's the word confidence. you have to have that every time you step in the ring, do you not? I mean, there's no option about losing. You're constantly focused on the objective, the goal.
Absolutely. And confidence doesn't mean that you don't have fear. There's tons of courage, which is one of the virtues I talk about. Courage is about facing your fears. It doesn't mean you're not scared, because every boxer, I don't care who they are, Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, Hector Colon, some of the best who have ever graced that ring, go into that ring with fear. But what gives them confidence is that dedication, determination, and discipline, that self preparedness that gives them the confidence to enter into that ring, even though they know they might get hurt or could even get killed.
And
Hector, I got to, you just made some real powerful statements there. And because we're talking about business and, of course, you're that type of thing. I think those principles you talked about, the same principles you need to apply in any area of your life. But in the area of business, there's no difference be preparing for a business, and that's dangerous in itself. It can be, right? And life. And what we learned, me being an athlete, you being a boxer, those disciplines are so transferable. And I think a lot of people miss that. Life experiences they may have done in Little League or in high school basketball, football, college, or whatever, and take those same principles that got you to be successful there. They're totally transferable in business. Would you agree? Or
absolutely. And I can go into more in detail of that, but since we're on courage and about facing your fears, I'll show you how that's applicable into the business world. So what is it that allows you to face your fears in boxing? Again, it's that dedication, determination, and discipline, that self-preparedness that gives you the confidence to enter into that ring. But even though it's a one-on-one sport, you're not there by yourself. You have a coach, you have sparring partners, you have fans, you have supporters. You're going in, you have lots of people that are going into that ring with you, even though you're there one-on-one with someone. So the same thing in life, in leadership, you gotta have that dedication, determination, and discipline. You have to come along with others and be willing to do something bold that could have a remarkable difference, not only on you, your organization, but those that surround you. And so courage is about facing your fears and fighting to do the right thing, and don't do it alone. Involve others.
you can see down here, Hector, I have the 5 essential virtues for life and leadership. If you don't mind, and I'll pop them up here. I'd like you to share this with our audience, like the first one.
Sure. Magnanimity. This is the virtue about striving for greatness. Alexander Havard, a Russian author, said that this is the virtue of personal excellence. So in the sport of boxing, I learned how to apply this really through daily habits, daily rituals, and daily routines. So I was up every morning at 5 o'clock in the morning, below 0 degrees, 6 inches of snow. It didn't matter. I was out there running. I'd work out in the afternoon, work out in the evening, go to sleep early, wake up early, eat right, do everything a champion needed to do in order to become a champion. So how does that virtue apply into life? If we want to bring our best selves to our spouses, to our children, to our jobs, right now as the CEO, the 750 employees in my organization deserve me to bring my best self each and every day. So I also apply daily habits, daily rituals, and daily routines such as meditation and prayer and working out and taking care of my body so that I can bring my best self to my work each and every day. That's what the virtue of magnanimity in the sport of boxing taught me, and how I've applied that into my life and leadership.
And I'm going to ask you, did you ever feel like quitting?
Absolutely. You feel it all the time. One day you wake up and you don't want to go run because it's below 0 degrees, or Another day you want to work, or your friends want to go out and you don't feel like working out. You want to go with your friends. Or even another example is, you got a major fight and sometimes you don't really want to do it. So of course, we're always faced with those challenges as a boxer. And again, how do you apply that into life? Something worth fighting for is worth it at the end of the day. When you don't really want to do it and then you do it and you train hard, you become a champion, then the fruits of your labor are there. Same thing in life. When you fight through these situations and you work really hard, and others are maybe not working as hard as you, but you stay focused, the fruits come at the end, and it's very beneficial and meaningful.
You mentioned something there, this word, and I have a hard time trying to say it, so I won't.
Magnanimity. I got it. Yeah.
You just mentioned something there, and I think it's part of what I do in my coaching is first of all, going back to a child, somebody believed in you day one. That, I think, in leadership, you got to believe in your people, right? Yep. So that's a significant learning thing. But magnanimity is that vision yourself great already. You've already manifested in your mind. That's what I call vision, your purpose and your reason. So that's what I see it as. It's part of your vision of your life. Before you came to champion, so you won the championship before you even got in the ring, right?
Absolutely. That's a meaningful insight that you have there. It is a vision. It's like in an organization, you have a vision, but then what are the steps to get to that vision? So in boxing, the vision is the championship title, but what are those daily practices, those daily rituals and daily routines that's going to help you get to that level? So you have to work hard, but yes, it starts with a vision.
In your leadership role, and I think leadership's demonstration of your values and those type of things. You walk your talk and you demonstrate it. You don't ask people to do things you're not willing to do yourself, and you service leadership. How do you encourage people? Because I've dealt with this in my businesses where people's focus and discipline gets waned, gets pulled away. What are the type of things you do to help somebody become more focused and more disciplined in obtaining? What are some things you advise them on besides your own demonstration?
Sure. I think one important consideration is our to-do list. So stay focused on a to-do list, but make sure that there's purpose in that to-do list, because that's what makes it exciting, inspirational, and doable, where you can really knock it out, right? So if you deviate, there's lots of distractions in life. And so you have to be intentional of what gets on that to-do list, because if we put too much on there, it might stretch us thin and we might not be able to do anything great. And so a lot of times we got to learn how to say no, or maybe not now, or yes, but I need some help. So you gotta. It's hard as a leader, as a father, as a husband, as a CEO, as a person that wants to make a difference in the community. We can get pulled in a lot of different directions. So it's very important to stay focused and to really try to have purpose in that to-do list, so you don't get stretched too thin.
Great advice. Thank you.
I appreciate you saying that, because that is a great point. Learning to say no when you're focused on, like you're getting ready for a big fight, which you have, and what you do now, you're focused at the task at hand. And that's hard for some people. in our world today, because we have these crazy things here, these phones, and kids today, there's so many dings, pings, whistles, likes, dislikes, and it doesn't mean just because a gajillion people like you on Facebook that you're out there tearing it up. I mean, that's great, but that's another subject matter. We can delve into it another time. But
Yeah.
some people can't help themselves. They can't put the phone down, turn it off, whatever. And have a conversation like we are right now this evening.
Yeah.
They're just glued to their phones. So that's a great point you brought up. But I'm going to lead us onward here because I want you to talk about number 2. I'm going to show it, humility.
Thank you. Thank you. Humility at its core, specifically relating to the way Aristotle used to talk about humility, that fraternal humility is really at its core. It's about serving others. And I learned this virtue through two very important people in my life. One is my mother. So when I was 12 years old, my mother and father got a divorce, and my father moved to Puerto Rico. No money, no calls, no support. My father was gone. And I never heard my mother complain. My mother has a 7th grade education. I saw her work 2 and 3 jobs to support the family. And not only did she not complain, but she would serve the homeless. My sister, when my
Wow.
father left, was addicted to drugs, and she had co-occurring mental illness at the age of 17. And my mother would serve her boyfriends that had addiction, severe persistent mental illness, made sure they had clothes, food, did everything a case manager would do without receiving a dime. So, and I saw the powerful influence my mother had on me, as well as others within my community. And the other person that had a huge influence in my role was my coach, Shorty, that giant in my life, where I saw him sacrifice his weekends for me, sacrifice his
Wow.
nights, took me into his own home when I was 16 years old, where he loved me, fed me, and made sure I could become a champion, both in and out of the ring. And I remember seeing Shorty, I'm in the ring winning championship titles, and he's in the background smiling and so supportive. But he did so much for me to bring out that champion in me. My mother did so much to show me. So I gravitate towards servant leadership. And that's at its core, it's about serving others. In the workforce as a CEO, it's about co-creating the future, the direction, the vision, the strategy, along with the team. It's about making sure that they're paid commensurate to the value they provide society. It's about asking them, how are they doing? Being concerned not only about the professional life, but their personal life. So I learned this from my mother. I learned this from Shorty, and I seen the positive influences it has had on my personal life and countless others, by the way. And that's why I gravitate towards servant leadership. And I believe the virtue of humility is one of the most powerful virtues, because it can really, when you put your attention on others, that's where transformational things can occur.
That is awesome. And
Hector, I got a comment to make on that. We've done many interviews and that, and there's a common thread that you hear. They may articulate it differently, a little different perspective on it, but something that I've noticed with those that are succeeding at a much higher level, they go out of their way, just like Shorty did, to bring you in. Mm-hmm. Didn't have to, right? He had a life and a family and all that. He could have, but taking that extra, I've seen it many times with other leaders. They have reached out and pulled people in to help them through that process in life, whatever it is, being homeless, or whether something happened in their life, and they bring them in without anything other than love. So I just want to say that theme there runs across a lot of people that are successful high levels. That humility, go out of their way to help other people. So I just want to let you know that's what I heard.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely.
Hector, I know you know this gentleman, but you'll appreciate the quote. Service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth. Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad Ali, one of the greatest, absolutely one of the most charismatic boxers, influential individuals. I mean, he was one of the best to ever grace the ring. He was just he was the greatest, and on so many fronts. I wish he were still alive. Obviously, the sport of boxing impacted him
Right.
in a harsh way, but he was successful. He made a decent living, and he provided a lot of good for his family and the community.
You know, Hector, one of the things when I look at history and look at what I grew up in his era of, you know, the whole thing, the name change and all. But what I admired about him is that he had his values in order and he stood up for them, irregardless of the consequences.
Right.
And and I think great leaders do that. They don't hide behind something. They let people know where their values are, their positions are, and not afraid to stand up and fight for those things. You think that's a powerful thing in leadership?
Absolutely, yes, for sure. And we are called to do that each and every day.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm just going to share a couple things. You got a fan already out here, Hector, so I have to. Robert Brooker said that his uncle, who worked for the FBI, where's it at here? Yeah. One of my uncles is from Puerto Rico, and so he worked for the FBI. Okay, so cool.
Nice.
And,
hey, Roberto.
Very good. And Robert always has something to say. Evidently, he hurt his rotator cuff, Tom. He said a blown rotator cuff at 43 has kept me from the gym since then. Mm-hmm. So Robert used to hit the gym, but, you know, you got any advice for him there, Hector? Because you've been out there and, you know, what do you do about a rotator cuff, you know?
You can get it rehabbed, you know, go to a good physical therapist and make sure it's completely healed. So a lot of times individuals with rotator cuff issues don't get it completely healed, and then they go back into a gym or go back into swinging a bat or doing something and re-injure it. So as long as it's totally healed, you get a good therapist, you can make a comeback, even at 40 something years old.
All right. And hey, here's number 3, and I want you to elaborate on this one. This is courage now.
Yeah, and I talked a little bit about that earlier, but you know, I talked about how boxing, you know, it's very intimidating. You know, it's very scary, and you go into the ring scared, and no matter how good you are, you go into the ring scared. But that dedication, determination, and discipline, that self-preparedness gives you that confidence to enter into that ring. And there's nothing like having those hands raised in triumph, and you knew that all that hard work you put in, now you claim victory. So that's a great feeling. And the same thing happens in life and in leadership. And you want to make sure that you face your fears, but you're dedicated, determined, and disciplined, and you don't go alone. So in the boxing ring, again, you don't go alone. You have sparring partners, you have a coach. I'll give you an example of an area where I demonstrated courage at Lutheran Social Services of Wisconsin, Upper Michigan. First of all, I am the first non-Lutheran, non-pastor, non-Norwegian to run the organization in 138 years. And I learned of that midway into the process. And I almost removed myself from the process because I thought, there's no way these people are going to hire me. And I almost was a coward. And the reason why I was going to remove my name was because fear of rejection. I am so glad that I continued on the process. And I am the president and CEO of one of the best nonprofit organizations in the entire country. But if I would have gave up, if I would have lacked courage, I would never be in this role. And since I've been here, you know, we've my team and I have demonstrated lots of courage. One big thing was since I have been in this organization, we have divested of $13 million worth of programs.
Wow.
Nonprofits don't do that. We love people. We want to serve people. But this organization needed to do that in order to be viable. Not only did we get out of 13 million, but we've grown strategically by over $13 million. So before I got here, this organization met 2 budgets in 10 years. During that period of time, we lost $10 million. So here I am. I come into the organization. The year before we got here, we lost $2 million. My first budget, we budgeted at a $500,000 loss. We came in 60,000 positive. First budget met in 5 years. Then the second budget, we budgeted at a break even. We came in 2.4 million positive. The third budget, we budgeted at a $800,000 gain. Then the pandemic hit us, where we were faced to lose $750,000 of revenue per month.
Wow.
And if we would have done nothing, we would have lost $3.6 million at the end of the year. Instead, we came in 3.3 million positive. So in my first 3 years in this organization, it has been a $12.4 million turnaround, in large part due to courage of my team and all the significant changes they made to position us for success.
That's incredible.
And I think when that filters from the top down, your vision, your confidence, making hard decisions. You made a hard decision, making that decision from, do I go pro and all the accolades that would give you, to the path that led you to where you are today. Hard decisions.
Absolutely.
And when you're making a hard decision like that, what is it that you turn to make sure that what is the thing you turn to know that decision is going to be right?
Sure. So first, my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. So a lot of prayer, a lot of reflection, meditation, an examination of conscience. So all of those spiritual things so I can be in tune. But I also reach out to friends and mentors, business coach, my wife and my closest family. I try to rely on lots of people, and I don't make major decisions quickly. I try to go through a process of discernment, and I'm really thoughtful about it. So those really difficult decisions don't happen overnight. They take some time, and you should give them the due process it deserves, and try to involve others, people that love you and that really want to support you, and that make sure that you will make the right decision. Now, sometimes you get conflicting messages, right? One friend will tell you this, and then your spouse will tell you another thing. So that's where you have to process all of that, and sometimes make a decision that might be different from some of your closest advisors, but ultimately you feel is the right thing to do for you right now.
I think what you just said there is all these people are giving you input and feedback and seeing it from their perspective. If you get enough of it, you got a 360 of what's really going on.
Yeah.
Because everybody looks at the same situation from their own lens. It's like looking at a building. I'm in the front of the building, and if I walk around it, I'm going to start seeing that differently. So you're just getting a perspective of other sets of eyes, so you can get a full 360 view of the situation. Would that be a correct assessment?
That is correct. And I would also say that a business coach, and I know you're a business coach, having one is I think very important, because you can get very vulnerable with your business coach, and you can get very real with your business coach. And if you do that and you do it well and your business coach is good, that business coach is going to know you pretty well and could have provide you with good advice too. So I would say that a business coach is one of those people you want to have close, and one of those individuals that are going to give you good advice on how to move forward with things, especially in difficult decisions.
Yeah, courage. That's I'll relate this to from an athlete, and I know sports psychologists. Athletes face fear. Football players, it could be a devastating incident. And what they do is the coaches and the psychology of it, they get people clear on the outcome, stopping the play, or winning the game, winning the championship, that big vision, the purpose, and the why. But what I learned is that fear and excitement have the same emotional vibration. And athletes approach the situation with excitement, even though it's fear, just the change of words. And so getting in that ring, I'm sure your thought was more excitement than fear.
Oh, absolutely. So you do have fear, but you are excited because you work so hard and you want triumph. You want to win that fight. You want to win that championship title. Same thing applies in the boardroom. If you're never doing anything courageous and you never have any fear, you might be taking it way too easy, and you might not be fighting hard enough to do something that is remarkable or extraordinary for the company as well as for your employees.
Yeah. So most people play it safe, and you probably see that as a leader. And how do you get them out of that comfort zone? And that's where leadership comes in.
Whereas a good segment to the next virtue, if you're going to bring it up, perseverance.
You got it. See, he knows it. He's got it down. There it is.
He lives it, my friend. He lives it.
So perseverance is about not giving up, but also being willing to fail so that you can learn, grow, and succeed. And I learned this in boxing. So I fought my first fight and wanted to give up. And my coach said, "Champ, you have natural abilities. You can't give up so quickly." I fought my second fight. I lost again. I cried.
Hector, he called you champ then, didn't he?
He said, "Champ."
Yeah, he kept calling. Yes, that's important. That's what Jordan called you, didn't he? Called you champ. Okay.
He said, "Champ, don't give up, champ." And so then the second time, I lose again. This time I'm crying. I'm humiliated. This intense fear I'm feeling before getting into the ring. I didn't feel there was nothing fun about that. So I told my coach, I said, "Look, this is it. I don't like this. It's not fun." And then he said, "Champ, you could become a champ. Don't be a quitter. Let's do this. Don't be a quitter. Let's do this one more time." And it was the way he said it. He gave me this huge confidence booster and belief in me that, I felt like I never felt at the time. And he was right. I became a 7-time national champion, fighting all over the world with the United States national boxing team. And so I learned not to give up in boxing. That was so important. Then when I quit boxing and I started going back to school, and I was 19 years old, 20 years old, and I took an entrance exam and I scored embarrassingly low. I had to take basic arithmetic and study courses, and I was embarrassed. But I worked really hard, and I graduated I fought to do the best I possibly could do. And I graduated with honors. I got a 3.83 for my master's degree. I was the only student in my class to publish my thesis in the American Journal of Occupational Therapy. But then I take my first occupational therapy entrance exam so I can practice occupational therapy. I didn't study it at all because I thought I was an honor roll student. I thought I was smart. I thought I knew all this. And I take the test and I failed. I was hurt. I was wounded. But then I woke up and I said, "Look, man, it's my fault. I didn't study." So the next time I studied a little bit more because I barely failed. So I said, "I'll just study a little bit more and I'll pass this test." I failed again.
Wow.
And this time I was really wounded. I said, man, I can't pass this test. And at the same time, I saw Vernon Forrest, who I beat twice, become a 4-time world champion, multimillionaire. I saw Jose Antonio Rivera, who I knocked out, become a 3-time world champion, multimillionaire. And I thought to myself, why don't I just go back to boxing? It would be so much easier. Then I heard that echo of Shorty, that giant, say, don't be a quitter. Don't be a quitter. And this time I studied with the rigor and intensity. It took me to be an honor roll student to pass that test. And that passing that test has afforded me a great career and opportunities that I never would have gotten if I would have given up. My rise to the CEO, again, if I would have given up, I wouldn't be in this role. So the important message here is don't give up, but also if you're never failing in life, if you have never failed in life, you probably haven't reached your full potential. That is one thing that I think was a huge advantage to my life in growing up as a leader, is that I was always willing to fail. And because of that, I was never afraid. And I believe that I continue to reach my potential as a result of the virtue of perseverance.
Hector,
You know,
you mentioned fear, and I umpire baseball, so fail your way to success, like in baseball, go 1 for 3, 2 for 5, and I say, even being in sales, you have to embrace the failure. Not that you want to fail, but you can't be afraid of it. Do you think that's a good thing? Like, you don't want to lose a fight, but you can learn from that loss. That'll give you that more of a determination. Hey, next time I'm going to do this and this, and you get together with your coach, and you map out a strategy and say, this isn't going to happen again. I'm going to be better prepared. Is that, or do you think that's a wrong thing to like say, hey, I'm not afraid to fail? I welcome the failure. Not that you want to fail, but you got to use it as a tool and learn from it.
Absolutely. And I believe wholeheartedly in that, because again, if we're never failing, we're probably not reaching our full potential. And yeah, you aren't going out there to intentionally fail, but if you're willing to fail and learn and grow through that experience, retool, re-strategize, it's going to help you be the best you possibly can be. Getting into that ring, you're never going to be the greatest if you're afraid to fight the champion. And so something worth fighting for, you have to give it a try, and be willing to learn and grow through those situations. That's what's going to help you reach your full potential.
I have a comment, if I could. You recognize, and that's what I love about the type of leader you are, is you're authentic. You're not afraid to go out there and say I failed, but you took ownership of your failing too. Mm. You allowed your ego to get in the way, right? Many times that's a big problem. I'm stronger, faster, I'm smarter, I'm whatever it is, ego wise. But you recognized that when you failed, and then you said, I'll study a little bit more, and then you failed again. Then you recognized I got to do at a different level. So I appreciate what you said there, is that too many leaders are not afraid to say, you took ownership and you corrected it, instead of maybe point and blame. Maybe letting your self-image get in the way and quit. So your ownership of how you prepared.
That's right. That's really important point, Tom, is ownership of your situation, and try to control that as much as you can, and be true to yourself. Don't lie to yourself. Others will know. Be true to yourself, and really try to learn from those experiences. Try to grow from those experiences, and try to be a better person the next day. That will help you achieve that championship title, or help you achieve that major strategic initiative that you previously failed on, or help you achieve, finally get to the CEO status.
Yeah. Yeah, great clarity there. Mark, what do we have on point number 5?
Oh, yeah, this is my all-time favorite here. So I'm going to stand out of the way and let Hector elaborate.
Oh, this is one of the hardest virtues, temperance. And it really is, and you learn that in the sport of boxing. When you're in that ring and you get hit, you can't lose control. This ain't a fight. This is a chess match, and you have to strategize and compose yourself and think about how you're going to react so that you don't get hit again. You don't lose self-control. Or before the fight, there's a lot of bad talking back and forth, and you got to stay composed and calm and have temperance and not allow that to get to your mind, because that's where you lose self-control. Or when you're in that ring and you get hit with a low blow and maybe the referee doesn't see it, you can't retaliate with a low blow, because now the referee might see it and you could get disqualified. So in the sport of boxing, you learn self-control. And it's very important that you bring that temperance, that self-control into your life and leadership. A lack of temperance could result in divorce. A lack of temperance could result in you beating somebody up because they offended you, and then you could get fired, or even worse, go to jail, lose your career, lose your family. And so, or just in the workforce, maybe somebody doesn't entirely agree with the vision, with the direction, with the strategy, and most of the people do, but you got this person, and how do you react to that person? Are you harsh with that person? Do you point that person out in front of everybody because they upset you? Or do you try to bring that person along? Do you try to help that person understand why this is important, not only for them, but for those that surround them? So temperance is really important. But also, there's lots of temptations in life. Drinking. Let's talk about, many CEOs excessively drink, and that could lead to a bad road. So you want to make sure that you have temperance. We all have natural impulses and situations and even temptations that, if we fall to them, could ruin our life and our career. So temperance is so important, and I love talking about it.
When I work with my clients, and that's where most people walk this earth reacting, just reacting for whatever reason. There's 10,000 ways why people react, but temperance is learning the process to respond, and responding is totally different than reacting. That could be that stepping back, assessing the whole situation, and getting counsel, all those different things. So temperance is very important.
And in boxing,
respond versus react.
See, in boxing, you learn how to bob and weave and roll with the punches, and sometimes even take it on the chin in order to advance your life and career. So that's how life is. Sometimes just roll with the punches. It's not that serious. Or sometimes you got to bob and weave. And you know what? You're not gonna counter punch on this one. So you got to learn that self-control and temperance is very important.
Yeah.
I have to share a couple of these comments. Robert's just been like throwing things. He said here, I have a friend that's a boxer and a retired Navy SEAL, Ruben Lawing, and then he's even got his website down here. And Robert, I don't mind putting it out there. You mentioned about drinking, so I don't think Robert's going to mind because he put it out here. He said, drinking didn't serve me well. And, I transitioned to a life I loved. I stopped drinking. And I have no desire to mute anything now, and want to remember everything. So that's great, Robert. Great to hear that, That's a
Thanks for
big
sharing,
step for a
Robert.
lot of people. We know, Tom and I know, Ken Walls, who started this Grow Live Academy, is an alcoholic, and he struggles every day, as he says. Although he hasn't taken a drop for I don't know how many years, but it's
18.
all 18, is it? Yeah, and that's a challenge, for him. But that's what he deals with every day.
Yeah.
And but you brought up a great point because I've seen that people that are in a position of authority or have power, some of them do drink to excess, and it's insane.
Yep.
You
And
know,
sometimes they don't realize they're doing it.
Right.
I love those 5 principles. When I interviewed you with on G-Force, gave me a different perspective of the same things I teach, and I'm embracing them, and I appreciate that much. And I know the audience is going to pick something up. I call nuggets or whatever, a different perspective or different viewpoint than coming in here today. But I'd like to sort of shift a little bit more to your mission with the Lutheran
Yes.
nonprofit. Tell a little bit about the organization, what your mission is, what you serve, and because there's great need out there. If you could like to share a little bit about your role and what you're doing to help service the community that you're serving.
Yeah, thank you so much. This is an outstanding organization, one I love so much. Our mission is very simple: to act compassionately, serve humbly, and lead courageously. And our vision is to create healthy communities filled with people using their God-given gifts to serve. And we have over 750 humble servant leaders that live out this mission each and every day. We serve. We're about 60 million in revenue. We're in all of Wisconsin, pretty much every county in Wisconsin, and then a small part of the UP where we provide services. We provide addiction services, severe persistent mental illness, residential treatment facilities, also just in-home services. We provide services for persons with disabilities or the elderly, all with the intention of helping them live as long as they can within their homes. We have programs for persons coming out of incarceration, helping them reintegrate back into society, and so that they can live in the community and not go back into the criminal justice system. We serve foster care individuals, those children that are left without a parent. Many of these children have been affected in major ways, major trauma experiences, and we bring out the best in that child. We help that child understand that their potential is great, and we also help that child connect with a loving parent that could help that child realize their potential. We also provide refugee services, individuals that are fleeing from war and persecution from their countries, and we bring them here, provide them with the education and assistance they may need so they can flourish in the United States of America and specifically in Wisconsin. So those are some of the programs that we provide. Last year, LSS served over 30,000 individuals in the state of Wisconsin and Upper Michigan, 91% of which indicated that we improved their quality of life. I like to talk about our value proposition through 3 E's. One is experience. There's not many organizations that could say they've been around for 138 years, providing high quality services with a great reputation and credibility we have in Wisconsin and Upper Michigan. The third E is effective. Over 30,000 individuals served, over 91% of which indicate that we have improved their quality of life.
Wow.
That's a lot of lives that we have impacted. Those are a lot of lives that we have empowered to achieve their potential. And the last E is efficient. Um, when we contract with government or when a funder gives us money, 88% on the dollar is going into direct care, where the industry average is anywhere from 65 to 75% on the dollar. So when you give money to LSS, when donors give money to LSS, we handle that money with prudence and very efficiently, and the money is going overwhelmingly into direct client care.
That's great.
That leads to me. So your funding predominantly comes from where?
Predominantly from government funding, federal government, state, county. It all funnels, kind of through those channels. So the majority of our funding, about over 80%, comes directly from funding. Our organization, just about 3% comes from charitable contributions, which is very low for an organization of our size, our reputation, and our credibility. But this organization has been very under the radar and very humble, which is a great thing. I have learned so much since becoming the CEO. It'll be 4 years in July. My 4 years has accelerated my learning, and I've learned from direct line staff just as much as from the board of directors, as well as my surrounding leadership. So I've learned so much here because of their humble spirit. But when it comes to sharing our story, since I've been here, I've been a little bit more vocal of that, because we need to share the story in order to get those funders that would help us with our fundraising goals. So we are on a journey to do more of that. We believe that once we get in front of donors, they're going to feel the passion, they're going to feel the love, and the difference we're making in the world. And hopefully we can track them to love LSS just as much as we do.
Wonderful. And that sort of, Mark, did we get some information? If somebody wanted to donate or, investigate your cause and your mission, do we have that information? Will you put up?
Hang on here. I'm going to pull it up here. Kenneth Walls, hang on here. I just blew by it, so just bear with me here, guys. Because I know we just did this. Oh, here we go. Yeah.
So if somebody was to reach out to find out more about you, those two websites, which one would be the resource to find out more about the organization, and anybody has a generous heart in that area to support you, which website would that be?
Yes, thank you so much. So actually both websites, but the LSS primary website is www.lsswis.org. If you go to my website, I also have a link to LSS page and invite individuals to make donations. It'll take you directly to the LSS page there. But if you want to go directly to LSS, you can do that. And we would be very grateful. The impact we make is very meaningful, and lots of lives are better because they've come to us at LSS.
Yeah, we just definitely want to make sure we share this out because there's a great need out there, and there's so many needs all over, and if any way we can support that or promote that for you, we're here to do that for you as well. Your book, how do people get your book?
Yeah, you can go to my website, Hector Colon, mke.com. It's also obviously available on Amazon. So, I encourage your listeners to go out there and purchase the book. I guarantee you, if you get it, it's going to bring out the champion in you. And so you'll have a lot of fun. And if you like it, please do a review on Amazon. And if you don't like it, just keep it to yourself.
Hector, I got to ask. So, like, you're a CEO, you've written a book, you're doing a lot of things, you're doing speaking, people know who you are. Well, what does Shorty say to you now? Does he still call you champ?
He still does. He loves me very much. He was a little upset with me, though, when I gave up the sport of boxing. He had so many hopes and dreams of becoming a world champion, and all that comes along with that, right?
Hmm.
Um, for him, not so much the money, or not at all the money. It was just about getting to the top. And for him, winning the gold medal was actually way more important than turning professional and making money. That was his ultimate goal, was wanting us to win the gold medal in the Olympics. So he was upset in the beginning. He
Right.
didn't truly understand, but in hindsight and now he's so happy. He knows and feels I made the right decision. We love each other very much. He's like a second father to me, and I enjoy. He'll tell me to come and talk to the kids sometimes in the gym, and I'll do that anytime he asks me. And so we're very close.
That's great. That's great. Now, were you married at the time when you stepped out of boxing, or
I was not married at the time. I did meet my wife, though, shortly after I gave up the sport of boxing. I did meet my wife, and my wife, Sol Maria, we've been married for 21 years, and we have two children. My daughter, Angelis, she's 18, and she's going to be going to college next year, UW Madison. And my
that's
son,
great.
Elian, is 15 years old. So we have two kids,
Wow.
and he's a freshman, so he'll be a sophomore next year.
That's great. That's great.
You,
Hey,
you know, Shorty is a part of your. You got the gold medal of life. You
yep.
know, I think he can be very proud that see the manifestation and being part of your life, no matter what the decision is, and you've got a gold medal already. You know,
Right.
serving. So. Um,
Hey, Tom, I do want to share this comment, and this is from Ernest Odell. He said, I wish I had known about Hector's organization back in March. A dear friend of mine took her life by walking out in front of a train. She was suffering from depression, and I'm sure LSS could have helped her. So I just
Well,
wanted to share that with you. Now, this will be, this is live right now, obviously, Hector, but later on, it'll be out there, this content, and there'll be hashtag replays. I'm sure people will pick up on this, like whether it's YouTube, Facebook, different platforms. But I want to share that with you.
thank you for sharing that, and Ernest, thank you. All I could say right now is I'm praying for you. I know it's difficult, even though this may have happened some time ago. But for those that are out there, consider LSS to see if we can help to prevent something like this happening. But my prayers and thoughts are with you, Ernest, and please, if you have other friends or individuals that you're close to that are suffering from depression or anxiety or severe persistent mental illness or addiction, LSS could be a place that could make a difference in their lives.
And that's, thank you for sharing that, because we are in a situation that people need to be aware
Right.
that there's services out there to help people in all circumstances, and that depression and suicide is on the climb, and just having people aware that you have service out to reach out, because that's so important, what's going on in people's lives. So now your organization, this is non-denominational, you take anybody in to support in your communities?
Wow.
Absolutely. We're Lutheran Social Services. We've have our roots based on the Lutheran Church, and
Sure.
we do get support from Lutheran churches. But yeah, we're essentially secular in that we provide services for everybody.
For
We
everyone.
can't deny anybody services. We don't Lutheranize or Christianize anybody because
Right.
we get 85% government funds. But what we do is live out the values of the Lutherans, and love you as you come in, and serve you as you come in and have this huge compassion. So it's the way we deliver those services that probably really come to life by the faith of the Lutherans and this organization. But we don't bring that religion to the people we serve.
Here's some other people saying, so many looking for deep connections. We must be aware. This is by Patrick Watson.
Patricia.
Excuse me, Patricia. I'm losing my mind here. Sorry, Patricia. Sorry, Pat. I'm losing it here. But thank you for putting that out there. I appreciate that.
Scott, thanks for sharing.
Scott shared. So that's what I'm talking about, Hector. This thing will go out there. And then, here we go again. Here's Robert. It was Lutheran Social Services that hooked my cousin up with a place to stay when he needed it recently. So there you go. There's a testimonial for you. So thank you for sharing that, Robert.
Love hearing those stories of the impact that LSS has had on so many individuals. It's touching, and thank you for sharing that.
Hey, look at this. Ernest Odell. I'm Greek Orthodox myself, and I have worked with Lutheran charities for many years. That's awesome.
Yes.
And I was raised in that tradition. I think Tom was too. So, it is a very good organization. So, and Patricia again saying hello to everybody and thanks for reaching out. Thank you for Patricia for being here. Ernest, Robert, you guys for sharing. It's beautiful. So, Tom, where do we go from here? I mean, I got to ask, I do have to touch a little bit on the boxing. I'd be totally remiss, but do you ever miss it? Like, you're out of it. Do you ever, miss it sometimes that, and I'm not saying that to give you a hard time. I'm like,
Yeah, always, once a boxer, always a boxer. It was very, very hard, though, when I just left the sport. Right. And I would see Vernon Forrest become a 4-time world champion, and I beat him twice. And I'd see Jose Antonio Rivera, and I would see Oscar De La Hoya, who we never fought, but we were on the national team together. And all of those great champions of my era, we fought together on the United States national boxing team. So when I saw them succeed in the sport, that was really hard for me. And I did contemplate making a comeback several times.
Did you really?
And, yeah. But, I'm glad I didn't. I believe that where God wants me is where I'm at right now at Lutheran Social Services. Mm-hmm. And the sport of boxing is very dangerous. It could take one hit and you could die, or take one hit. Look at Pritchard Colon, who's no relation to me, was one of the greatest rising stars. He got hit with one punch. Now he's a vegetable in a wheelchair. Gerald McCullen, one of the greatest to ever come from the state of Wisconsin, multi-world champion, was beating Nigel Benn for the world title. Gets hit at the end of the fight, and today is a vegetable in a wheelchair. Many have died in the sport of boxing. So, I always, lots of times, even still now, all these old timers are coming back. And Jake Paul and all these YouTubers want to fight. And I think I could destroy these guys for $2 million that easy. So of course, it always, you always think.
Hey, I'll work your corner if you come back, Hector. I'll carry the bucket or something, man. Hey, listen, Ron Goodwin is paying you a compliment, and Ron has his own business, and so you resonated with him. He said, "You're a good man, and keep up the good work."
Thank you, Ron. Appreciate you so much. God bless you.
Thanks, Ron, for jumping on.
And he said, "Thanks for the reminder message, Mark. I lose track of time very easily, and I had this afternoon." And I just reminded people about, hey, how about hopping on? And, because we promoted this for you. I acted like a goofy guy and went out here this afternoon and mentioned the fact that you're going to be here. And, I just want to say thanks to all these guys for, hopping on and sharing it. And, most important of all, your message. I love the 5 essential virtues for life and leadership, and you definitely live by them. So it makes me sitting here with bated breath to get my book, from Amazon. So,
Good.
oh,
It's going to bring out the champion in you.
yeah. But do you have anything else to share with us here, Hector? I mean, we pretty much covered what we wanted to, unless Tom does. But I just want to say thank you so much. You're a true gentleman, and I say this. I think boxers are the cutting edge and the fabric of the planet, man, because they're good people. That's just my take on it. But you guys go through a lot to get where you're at.
I got one thing. We talked about it and I think it was powerful, is the forward in your book. We talked about who you lean into and mentors, and that you've had many besides our Savior as your primary place to go. But would you like to mention
Jose Delgado?
Yeah, I was trying to make sure I
Jose Delgado. Yeah.
Jose Delgado. So
Delgado. Okay.
He had to flee Cuba when he was 12 years old.
Wow.
And so he came here as a refugee, and he didn't know any English. Fought his way through high school, went through college, got an MBA, was a high-level executive at We Energies, ended up founding American Transition Corporation, sold it, and gave all of his millions of dollars to the church.
Wow.
He never got married. He gave his life to Jesus and the church, and he played a huge instrumental role in my life. Also, like a second father to me. He was like a coach, a father, a friend. I went to him for major decisions, and so I loved him so much. And recently, he passed away. So I miss him very much. I know he's looking up there, very proud. He was very proud of this book. He thought it was a written book. Otherwise, he wouldn't have done the forward. He was very particular like that. He doesn't put his name on just anything. So I love Jose Delgado very much. He played a huge role in my life. And thank you, Jose.
Yeah.
Awesome. And hey, I gotta ask, did Shorty buy a book from you? Did he buy a book, or has he read it, or has he ever?
I had to give him a signed copy, so he definitely has one. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's great. Hector, man, I'm impressed because I saw your interview with Tom. That was excellent. And tonight you just took it to the nth degree for me. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you. It's a true honor to be here with you guys. And I would just say that the last parting comments relate to my virtues, and go out there and strive for greatness. Do something that is honorable and remarkable. Go out there and serve others. The more you serve others, the more you're going to get in return. Face your fears. Fight to do something that is the right thing to do. Be willing to fail and give up, and do not react to a situation that can ruin your life and your career. Those are pretty much the 5 essential virtues for life and leadership that have helped me, and I'm sure they will help you and bring out the champion in you. Thank you.
Thank you, Hector.
It's an honor to have you here. Thank you. Just stay on just for a moment if you don't mind, and Mark and I'll wrap this up. So.
Okay, I'm going to put you back in the green room, so you can call up Shorty and say, hey, buy some more books or something.
There you go.
Hector, thank you again.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Quality individual there, Tom.
Absolutely. He's, when we look at success, many times we don't look at it the right way. And he's a true example of the virtue of success, building success on virtues. And I think that's really important. I hope people heard that message today, that those principles will guide you in success no matter what you're doing in life. your personal relationships, your business, your community. So Hector, you're a great example of being a champion. So.
Yeah. And I'm just going to do this real quick, Tom. Like Robert Booker, he said thank you to
Sure.
Mark, Tom, Hector. Then look at this. Ernest, he just ordered a copy of Hector's book, so that's cool, and that'll get around because Ernest, he's out there all the time. Scott is thanking Hector. Tom, Ron Goodwin,
Patricia,
and he says copy. We got it, Ernest. No worries. We know what you meant. So it's all good stuff. And
thanks, Patricia, being on as well.
Yes.
Tag and share this with your friends.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for being here before we leave you. And awesome group. Thank you for sharing it.
Before we forget, I was so enamored here with it. Is Thursday. Do we have anything to share everybody about Thursday at 6:30?
Yes. Come to think of it, it has to do with kind of what we talk about and elevate your profits. So on Thursdays, since you're a financial coach, a wizard, as I kiddingly say, but you've got some things you've been through your life and, multiple revenue streams and what's going on out there in the world. And you're going to share some facts and figures. And I'll let you delve into just a little bit of that on our Thursdays.
Yeah, I'll just take 15, 20 seconds. On Thursdays, we'll be talking about what I call the 7 economic principles that are hurting people financially. And what are the solutions to inflation, taxation, a wide variety of other topics. And there are solutions to those, and it's only through awareness. So join us. I will be putting up on, after this, I'll put the link in for registration, 6:30 event at 6:30, that's Central Time.
Right.
So
just look at 7:30 Eastern, and I'm going to tease you and Hector. There is only one time in the planet, Eastern. I'm kidding.
That's right.
But Tom, before we leave, elevate your profits. What's the whole motif behind elevate your profits? What are we trying to do here?
Well, it's to help people win, predominantly in and around business from mindset. We've had many people coming in about what it takes mentally and those type of things. We're bringing people in that have very specific expertise, track records, and stories to help people maybe look at their business and their lives a little bit differently, ways to succeed. There might be one missing link to take them to the next level. So, the types of people we're bringing in, like Benjamin Gay III, the last living person to ever be coached by Napoleon Hill. Those are the types of people that have a track record, just like Hector. I mean, success leaves clues, and we just want to bring in the most successful people from all walks of life, all different types of businesses, and hopefully that it influence you, give you some hope, give you some ideas. So that's the whole purpose of Elevate Your Profits.
Right. Right. Well, and there's one last comment before I sign this off. And she says, yep. Patricia said, wow. And he said, honored. We need more of these. Yeah. Well, cool. Thank you so much, Patricia, for saying that. She said we need more of these type stories.
Absolutely.
And Ernest says, what is the definition of success? So, Hector, you can see what you're creating here. People are starting to jump on board, and and this will happen after we sign off. But with all that, thank you.
I would like to address Ernest, if I could.
Sure.
The definition of success is the pursuit of a worthy ideal.
There you go.
I didn't create that, but you're pursuing a worthy ideal. You're moving towards it. You're going to have success.
That sounds like Earl the Pearl Nightingale to me.
I think that's sort of the root where it came from. Yes.
Yeah. So Ben Gay's probably laughing out there because I always call him Earl the Pearl.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, there he goes. So Ernest agrees with you. Okay.
All right.
Well, Tom, I'm going to sign us off here, and I'll put you back behind the room there as well. And with that, I just want to say thanks again to everybody. We had a tremendous guest, Hector Colon, and man, I'm just like pumped, man, being around this guy. I can see why he is and had the 7 national titles. Why the guy, went forward into the Olympic trials. I wish he would have won. I wish he would have had gotten a gold medal. But look what he's doing today. To me, guys like that are ultimate champions, and they motivate me. And I just want to say thank you so much. I don't get too wound up, but this did it tonight for me. So with that, I'm going to back it on out of here, everybody. And
Hector gone?
I'm here.
Oh, there he is.